If you've attended a fitness conference recently, this may or may not resonate with you. Online fitness conferences in this past few years, and that have really become the norm continuing on, they're different. They just feel different. But back in real person, we're all a little hungry for the community and for the excitement and enthusiasm that bringing people together offers. But have you ever experienced this? So you've got a drained feeling, like a definite adrenal rush, potentially when you're there, but also a superficial show of persona as opposed to real connections. So, if so, this, what I'm about to say, may resonate with you. Sometimes, you just know you've landed. Like, you found your people, like you're just at home, whether it's because of that, like minded people, you just feel like you're in the good place. But actually, I think it's something very much less tangible than that. It's just like an energy. Like, it's not hyped over the top, but it's like you walked into your own living room, in your fluffy slippers or your flip flops, and you feel comfortable like that. Not like you have to put something on or, like my parents would have said this, like putting the dog on, right? So potentially, you know what I mean? But you've also not just found your people, but you found yourself, and you're comfortable in your own skin just being there. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to She Means Fitness Business. It's a division of Voice for Fitness, my overall LLC. And here at Voice for Fitness, we know that you want to be an inspirational example to other midlife women. And in order to do that, you need a profitable health and fitness coaching business. And the problem often is a lack of clients, or you've got lots of clients, but you have a lack of revenue or maybe time. And it'll make you feel uncertain about whether you can actually do this. Make a sustainable business that you love. That also gives you a life. And I know exactly how it feels because I've been there. And ironically, multiple times in my life and career that now spans 4 decades. And it's why I train pros, fitness professionals internationally now. I do it with 3 steps. Number 1, we first get you more clients. So we solve the problem that you're worried about, finances. Number 2, we make sure that you're making profit. Number 3, we make sure you've got freedom to enjoy that profit. And all of those things are key. So you can book a call to directly talk to me just about that. But meanwhile, I want you to get the health and fitness coaches business scorecard. So you can just self-assess, where are the holes? Why am I not getting the results and the benefit from the work that I'm doing? You can stop feeling like your dream slips away while you watch other quote unquote influencers, get more sales and the clients probably that you could help better. And instead, you could start increasing your revenue by at least $5,000 a month in the first 90 days. And that feels like a small thing because you've far surpassed that. You could grow by at least 25% overall in this remaining part of the year. Think about it. All right. This conference attending, it used to be like, it was such a great thing. It was a great thing. And it was like friends would go together, room together. And, and then you end up shopping and going out to dinner together. So it was social. It was fun. It was shopping. It was just a nice getaway. And then you came back with tons of ideas and started implementing on them on Monday, or maybe overwhelming your classes with new stuff. But anymore, there's this soul-sucking information pathway that social media has become. For me, it was taking a toll. So as I went into a conference at the end of last week, as I'm doing this live, when I'm attending anymore, I'm a presenter. And that's why I'm going. And I have enough of those that I haven't been to one that I've just like registered and paid for a very, very long time. Gosh, now that I say that, I'm like potentially decades, literally, probably in the 90s, but since I've done that. But I was definitely not looking forward to this trip. And I can say it now. I wouldn't have shared that with anyone beforehand because it's just like the show must go on and I will put on the face and I will do it. Nobody will know I'm feeling that way. But I could think last week of a million reasons not to go, although I would never, ever, ever do that. I would never, ever cancel at the last minute on someone hosting. So, I mean, here are some of the reasons. We're launching a new cohort of the Flipping 50 Menopause Fitness Specialist, or we were last week. We're closed now. If you missed it, I'll put a link in the show notes. You can get on that notifications list, and trust me, it's well worth it. And talk to me. I might know a way in. It was the last 4 days that we were open for that. So I had that going on. We just opened our recent launch of our 12-week consumer course plus coaching offer. And I had a mastermind meeting to prepare for. Oh my gosh. And every once in a while, I can take for granted where I'm at and what I'm doing and wonder if I'm offering anything new, any new insight when I give a presentation. I wonder, is this really worth it? Are they going to really come? Are they going to get anything out of it? I mean, really, can you believe it? Maybe you can if you've been in the industry long enough, but 40 years, that imposter syndrome never goes away. So if you're 5 years into it, you had a different career, but you're only 5 years into this one, you know, I know you think, well, it's going to get better. You'll get more confidence. You will, but then you'll get into a bigger pool. You'll be swimming with bigger fishies. And so it always is going to feel a little bit like that. So definitely my thoughts before the conference, of course, in the process of presenting and answering questions and having people thank me and ask follow-up questions, I realized that I am the biggest benefactor of presenting because in doing so, I get to remind myself that going from 0 to 6-figure months is nothing to take for granted, that I am grateful every day. And in part, I don't mean grateful because like it dropped out of the sky or I was just lucky or in the right place. I'm grateful that I stuck to it. I'm grateful for all the days that I felt like, is this really going to work? Why isn't it working? That I kept doing it, that I kept showing up consistently, even on the days that I felt like, oh, I'm a little dry. I don't know that this maybe podcast or this blog is really offering a great deal. When I have articles due, sometimes for multiple publications who are like on deadlines, sometimes I'm just like dry. It feels like there's no magic in the words on the page, but you still have to turn it in. Grateful that I struggled through all of that and I stayed consistent. I realized that sharing that story was crucial for me to have the reminder of what I'm capable of doing again. And what I mean by that is during my talk, I share the tragic start, the tragic middle, that I struggled through, like a real midlife crisis. And I'm not talking, oh, it was a little dramatic and my hair was thinning or something like that. No. It was far more significant than that. And then, having gotten through that just a few years later, real family tragedy, real painful loss. And it still affects us today. In fact, I can still get a little choked up thinking about it and thinking myself into the months and the aftermath of what that felt like to, have to go through that, but also have to continue with the business. But I can remind myself that I got through those things and I could do it again if I had to. I may have to. Any of us doesn't know, right? So is it time for you to attend a real conference? So I was long overdue to attend a fitness conference that wasn't full of superficial, awesome high fives and selfies, and find some source of peace and collective goal seekers, like-minded. Mission accomplished. So a huge shout out and nod to the hosts, and I will get there. I've known the hosts of this conference for a decade. I think it was maybe longer. I don't know at all what where exactly the first thing was, but Cody Sipe, I think, was first on my radar. I believe he was a presenter and an award-winning fitness pro with the American Council on Exercise, otherwise known as ACE. He and his co-partner, Dan Ritchie, formed Functional Aging Institute about a decade ago, and they hosted a first event. And apparently it wasn't 2013, it was 2015. And I was invited to that first one just as a guest of the industry where I was in that space, like flipping 50, people over 50, older adults. And grateful that I got that invite to meet him and see what they were doing at the very beginning. And then now I'm presenting in this year. It was super fun. It's a small world where I've met other guests that will be familiar to you too if you've attended the What, When, and Why to Women's Exercise Summit. So I will link in the recording to those recordings, by the way. Dr. Emily Splickel, she was also presenting at the conference. She was on the online summit. She's your go-to person for all things feet issues that may limit your clients and their ability to exercise for improving balance, stability, continuing activity for life. Bedros Keuilian, who is renowned for fitness marketing mastery and who has evolved as so many fitness and health pros do to mindset and personal growth. Sister team Kimberly Williams Evans and Alexandra Williams of funandfit.org. I also met there. They co-wrote a guest contribution to You Still Got It Girl, one of the chapters there. And by the way, Dan Ritchie and Cody Sipes also co-wrote their input to the same book's chapter on strength training. And Dan was also a guest speaker on the What, When, and Why to Women's Exercise. So what goes around comes around, but when you meet really good people, you want to hang on to really good people and you want them again in your life to show up other places. And here's why. So when you meet good people, you got to hold on to them. I've had many lunches with fitness pros over the past few decades, but many of them were just networking from the very beginning. They felt like networking, and I couldn't wait to recover after. If you're an introvert, you totally get me. Like at the end of the day, or maybe halfway through the day, you got to go to your room, and you hope you're not sharing, right? It's just you want to go to your room and be alone and recharge your batteries because sometimes it just gets sucked from you, right? So other times, the lunch, for instance, I had with Dan a couple years ago while we were both at a conference we were presenting on. The lunch I enjoyed with Lindsay Vistola. You may recognize her name as a prior editor of PFP magazine for 10 years and a few others this weekend. They were rich in connections and laughter. I mean, we just had a good time, like a really good time. And it was like we had been friends forever, only we just met. And sometimes that happens when it's the same experience level or life experience also can matter. But I think more than anything, it's the same values. That's the thing that is really the difference because I've had lunch before with a lot of fitness professionals and I can't say that I've always felt that this kind of connection that I had this weekend. It's not fair, I suppose, to compare pre-pandemic to post, but I do believe that there's more to it. It's also not fair to compare an early career or a tendency to wear imposter syndrome with seasoned career and an attitude of, I just don't care what people think about me. I'm going to do the right thing, whether people think it's right or not. Right? It doesn't matter, if I get their praise or I don't get their praise. I've seen too much about the inside behind the scenes of fitness conferences and about who and how speakers are chosen and what their reality is behind the scenes. I mean, I don't suggest that we don't all have things that we may regret, but if you knew about industry award winners, who and how promotions occur, the very flimsy influencer market that you're playing in if you decide to post based on what you see others with large audiences post. You're headed for a reality check faster than you might know. Above all, be true to yourself. What glitters and what is Botox does not shine so much in real life. I usually go home from fitness conferences exhausted. Not because of living a 1980s or even early 90s fitness conferences reality where it used to be like every session was a workout, workout after workout after workout, but because of the vibe, just the overall vibe of conferences. The junior high like cliques, the ego driven exchanges, the near elevation of presenters to celebrity status that makes it less of a learning environment than a day at a fitness boot camp to see who holds up the longest and has the newest apparel and still parties through the evening. But this conference was different. Connections were real. And instead of ducking out to my room to recharge, I actually stayed the entire day watching it all before and between my sessions. Speakers were around and making connections with not only each other, but with attendees. A panel of three of us female fitness leaders that I was on had such great synergy, not only the three of us with each other, and we didn't know each other all that well. I knew Lindsay, I'd met her, but I didn't know her well. And I didn't know Alexis Perkins, who was the third person at all prior. But oh my gosh, such great energy. It was just so good to be up there and just to listen to each other's responses to the same question and kind of touch base with who are we, where are we? And what are our thoughts behind that? I learned so much from being a part of it, as well as I hope I offered something. It was a super rich experience for each of us participating, and I think as much as it was for those in the room attending, beginning to grow their own businesses. Lindsay, I, and Alexis Perkins, whom I had never met before, again, had a great time co-hosting that panel. And if you want to see and know what's possible, consider this. Alexis Perkins. She's founded Chair One Fitness, and you'll find it on Instagram, and we'll link to that in the show notes. She's 30, and she's got this contagious enthusiasm. She's figured out everything is figure outable. And don't look at her and say, I wish I'd started then. Look at her and say, that's possible for any of us right now. She's a young woman of color serving an older market, both in the older adult caregiving arena and in the fitness professionals that she trains. I mean, what do you need to overcome? Why not you? She's doing it, and she is just a breath of fresh air. So keynotes were not in this conference. They were not like a look at me, but they were real connection with audience through real personal story and industry facts and overcoming challenges. Now, look, I've been a member in the past, not a current member of National Speakers Association. I've seen some awe-inspiring speakers do their thing on stage. It was not that. It wasn't that kind of polish, but it was good. It was what the fitness professionals in the room needed. Just to see someone on stage who is a presenter and someone that carries a lot of body of knowledge and expertise and experience, and then telling a story in a unique way online really, I think, brought it home for the audience. So very cool. Seek out conferences where you not only get knowledge poured into you, but you get filled up like this. Recently in our customer support, I was asked about fitness conferences in Salt Lake City. Now, this came in the same weekend that I am in Salt Lake City for this recent conference. Does that feel a little bit too much like AI or Alexa listening in? It was actually kind of scary. I can't even answer a question like that, unfortunately. I mean, Google is your best friend, your GPS for that. So in case you're wondering what fitness conferences are in my area, you may look that up, but that's not how fitness conferences work. So a lot of times, people who hold and annual conference, rotate where that location is. So National Strength and Conditioning Association, for instance, may be hosting one in Vegas this year, but last year it could have been in Orlando. The year before that, it might have been in Boston. So that's just where people rotate. And part of that is members, they want to rotate it so they cover, a huger part of their membership to get a bigger turnout. It also, think about it. Vegas in the summertime is probably a little bit more reasonable than other locations, right? Now, Salt Lake City, I don't know where that came out of. Honestly, I'm gonna really ask because I'm curious. Like, why Salt Lake City? I don't get it. But I'm going to a conference tomorrow in Palm Springs. Hello, end of June. I'm in Phoenix. I'm just going from hot to hotter. It's okay. This is so great. Not, but it'll be fine. I know how to pack, exactly how to pack. Other people will suffer. I will not. So, if you do have questions about what and where to gain education virtually or in person in a way that you're not only going to get knowledge, but community, you can reach out to us. We'll help and we will host. We have educational events for health and fitness coaches in conjunction with our Flipping 50 retreat. So if you didn't know that, we do Flipping 50 retreats and then usually do like a workshop, a full day workshop or half day workshop the day after, or even afternoon after our other attendees go home. So it's just health coaches, fitness pros. We do a breakdown even of the event, and I will just let you see behind the scenes. Here's how I charged for that event. Here's where the profitability was. Here's where the after offers will come in and let you see this is a model that you could use potentially. But we're also doing something really kind of different, putting together some challenging destination hiking opportunities, as well as other slightly milder but high volume outdoor exercise adventures combined with the menopause fitness and coaching strategies for you. So if you're interested in doing that, not just in coming to a mastermind where it's business, business, business for 3 or 4 days, but where we kick it off with a huge challenge event physically, and we get to know each other really well that day. So that then we spend the next couple of days diving into business and unpacking that, having already built kind of a circle of trust. And it's a really cool and unique way to create some bond. So if you're interested, let us know. All you have to do is respond where this podcast is or reach out to support@Flipping50 and we'll make sure you're on the list. We will do one in late fall, this fall, 2023, and then again in late spring in 2024. But these won't be big lists. They won't be big groups because of the nature of what we're doing. Number one, we don't want anybody to die. So, a little dramatic, yes, but we want a small and exclusive enough group where everyone can connect with each other, and we rotate little small groups within our big small groups, but we want to keep it fairly intimate, and business just goes better, and your business gets built better, and we have this unique group where everybody keeps growing and builds each other up. Okay. Now, if you've got questions, you can come over to the show notes. You can get the links that I mentioned, connections to the speakers that I shared with you, and having met those speakers in 2015, how many times have I used them? And that's not a great term, right? Use them. But how many times do I keep coming back to reconnect with them and collaborate with them? My online summit this year, reconnecting to promote their business, to share them with my audience, to share products. Emily Splicko is the functional foot doc. She's got lots of neat, cool products. And listen, if you're not aware of it now, for you and for your clients, your feet may be a limiting factor at some point. Don't let that start being true. She's got some great tools to start using now. So make sure that you are connecting with us. And you can do that at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/fitness conference. And what are you waiting for? The world needs you right now more than ever.